Okay, so my partner and I, we are both language teachers, and we have both been in exchange programs. So we would find students, like a whole class or 20 students who want to go abroad and who will stay a week or 10 days in a host family. We do different trips in the city. For example, for me, it's in Paris. And our students do work together. They work on projects. But we still felt that the benefit was not really enough, because it's just a week, you have all your classmates around you, you speak your own language, and you don't really benefit in a longer, from a longer point of view. So when we met at a yearly conference in France, and we started talking about our different experiences, and since we were in this frame of ICT, language teaching, we suddenly said, well, why shouldn't we try an exchange that is just virtual and that will have our students benefit for like 6 months? And we just got started like this, and basically we intended this exchange for 8th graders, 9th graders, but we could also do them with, I don't know, 10th graders, 11th grade, or even maybe the little ones.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Coco Leblanc et je suis responsable pour le projet Jeunes d'Europe qui aura bientôt lieu à Bruxelles. Le projet Jeunes d'Europe, c'est un projet modèle de l'Union européenne où des jeunes de toute l'Europe vont vivre en colocation dans le village des jeunes européens à Bruxelles.
Well, the whole project is a fictional European project that is actually located in Brussels. It's a European youth village where students from, in our case, France and Germany, but we would take in other nationalities as well, come to live together for 6 months in mixed apartments. So you would have 2 or 3 French students and 2 or 3 German students. Always, well, their identities are switched, so my students, my German students, would be French in the project, and the French students can be either German, Austrian, or Swiss. And so they live together in that project, and they get to know each other like that. And that's how they work in groups as well.
Mein Avatar. Ich heiße Raphael, mein Nachname ist Dedrich, ich bin 17 Jahre alt. 1,72 Meter groß und ich habe 62 Kilogramm. Meine Nationalität ist Österreicher und ich wohne in Wien. Ich bin in 11a Klasse. Ich spreche Deutsch, Spanisch und Englisch.
We started off thinking for 2 months about it after we came up with the idea. We thought about different web tools that we know and that are free usually because we didn't have any financing. And then we usually start off having our students create their avatars, so their own identities. We give them quite some time for that. We give them 3 or 4 weeks so they can really invent a very detailed personality. And then after that we get into the project, and we were really lucky. For 3 years in a row, we had classes that were at the same time. So my colleague in France would have his students at the same time as I did in Germany. So we could actually meet in our computer labs. So our students would sit in front of the computers and work together from the 2 countries. And that is what really got them motivated, because it was like, they're there, and they were really excited. They only work in one language at a time, so you always have experts. So the native speakers would act as the experts, and they wouldn't need a teacher to correct things. But in my case, my students are very, very shy when it comes to speaking a foreign language. It's really hard to get them started talking, and it's also, for some who are really shy already in their own language, speaking in a foreign language is just impossible. So we wanted them to go away from their own personality, to become somebody else, and that would actually help them say, okay, I'm just going to do it. I'm not myself, nobody knows me, nobody will laugh about me, and that got them started talking. And since it's a communicative approach, they can learn how to interact in real life, because they usually sit in class and they don't really see the purpose of what they learn in a language class for their own lives, except if they go on vacation. So that is basically what we wanted to get to.
Hallo Kukur, hallo liebe junge Europäer.
Bonjour tout le monde.
Wir hoffen, dass eure erste Woche in unserem Dorf gut verlaufen ist. Um diese erste Woche zu feiern, könnt ihr nun ein perfektes Dinner in jeder Wohnung veranstalten. Dafür sollt ihr euer Lieblingsessen kochen.
We have computer labs at our schools. We also used our own computers at home. So we're pretty well equipped for teachers, so we just love that. And we used our own computers to make the machinimas, so the videos in Second Life. Because if you go into Second Life, which is a virtual world, you need to have a good graphics card, you have to have different equipment just to, you know, walk around in a very nice way and not just typing. So we used that at home. We also got some software to make the videos because you need professional software for that. And the students also sometimes used their smartphones because they were supposed to record their dialogues that they wrote in class with their partners. And so they used their smartphones and they sent us the MP3 recordings. And then we would use another web service to put it together. The skills that we needed were not really new to us. We are both interested in ICT in general. We were both in Second Life before, so our avatars actually existed before the project. We got quite well trained by using a lot of webinars that we can take with different people we know, especially in Germany. There's one organization who does a lot of those. And we also had a lot of help in terms of Second Life, especially by the Second Life community. Apart from that, we know how to use computers, but our students had a really hard time at the beginning because they used their smartphones, but they used them only basically for chatting or for watching a video or for playing, but they don't really know the potential of that device. So they had a hard time already recording things. They also had a hard time dealing with all those new web tools that we asked them to use, and usually we combined one or two. So at the beginning it was very stressful for them, but then they suddenly realized, well, you know, you can just try it out. The computer will not explode.
Salut! Après avoir appris la semaine dernière qui seront vos colocataires, vous avez entre-temps pris contact avec eux. Hier, c'était la fin de votre stage de préparation.
It's pretty new to everyone, and there are people who think it's not teaching what we do. So I heard at the beginning when I suggested the project before we started, someone told me, well, but you're a French teacher, you're an English teacher, but you're not teaching when you do that project. But they pretty much got it now. I mean, we're successful. We won a few awards, and they understood that it can motivate students and that you need to learn a language in context and not in an artificial classroom situation where you interact with teachers who you know speak your own language.
Et aujourd'hui, vous allez vous rendre dans le village des jeunes Européens pour aménager dans vos appartements.
In terms of activities that we use, we're basically orienting ourselves at the framework, so the programs of each country and also the skills we're supposed to teach. So we have activities that make them listen. We have a lot of listening comprehension. They also speak a lot, which is the main purpose, and they also have to mediate. And mediation is one of the hardest things in foreign language teaching. And we're trying to ease that a little bit, because if you have French students and German students speaking, there will have to be some mediation.
Ich schaue bei Olympia am liebsten Biathlon und Skispringen.
Echt? In meiner Freizeit turne ich.
Warst du schon auf Wettkämpfen?
Ja, ich bin jedes Jahr auf mehreren Wettkämpfen.
Okay, so in terms of difficulties that we encountered, it was mainly a question how well or how badly the computers worked. So sometimes you have computers that just stall and they don't work anymore, and the work isn't saved. And also the internet connection, because we're both not in big cities, we're in small villages, and we have a kind of a bad internet connection, and sometimes it's just too much. But in general, we're still satisfied with what we managed to do, and the project actually kind of got a life of its own. It's developing itself. We didn't start out with all those ideas. We got started and then we encountered new internet services that we liked, others that we actually just dismissed because it was too complicated. But then it started taking on a life of its own, and it's developing, it's still developing. If we ever go into Second Life, we would love to have the real European village, not just the Franco-German, but we would love to have Spanish people, English-speaking people, whatever, to really have this village and really have apartments where they can live more or less. That would be really nice. And that's what we're aiming at, of course. That's the main goal.